Everyone, Maurice Ng here. Welcome to Things Invest, where we talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's video is for entertainment purposes only. What we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about NIO, ticker NIO. I'm going to give you guys my qualitative perspective as to some of the key catalysts that I've identified so far that we should look out for this week, and how these factors going to subsequently impact the stock price, right? In a quantitative perspective, I'm going to go through my recap on what happened last year with respect to the stock performance and how do I see the stock trending going forward, right? And last, I'm going to go through my entry price target, some of the optimal price level that we should look out for us to get into the stock, and subsequently my year-end price target for NIO stock as well. So stay tuned, stick around, and let's make some money. So for those that are new to this channel, my name is Maurice and I'm a former Wall Street investment banker at JP Morgan and subsequently a private equity investor for about half a decade of my life, and most recently a tech executive at a technology company based in Silicon Valley. And now I come here on YouTube, try to realize the experience and the knowledge that I've acquired in the 1 decade of my life so far to try to help people around the world, right, to gain that financial freedom, that financial success that we're all striving for. I'm really asking for you guys today is to really hit that like button below, that subscribe button below, and that notification bell as well to get notified when I post. I plan on posting about more of a daily perspective, maybe 2 to 4 times per week at minimum. It helps me, it helps with the channel as it grows, and most importantly, it helps you guys to hopefully spread this good work that I'm trying to do here today. All right, as the first part of the presentation, I want to talk about some of the qualitative catalysts that we should be looking out for this week with respect to NIO. Right, and you can see the ranking from here from 1 to 5. There isn't really a specific order of magnitude per se. I would say the top 4 is more like a spread even of 25, 25, 25, 25% in terms of like the affectation spectrum. But with respect to the 5th one, that's more of an economical outlook. So think of that as a more of a macroeconomically driven factor that we need to look out for, which is, pretty important, right? But something that we need to look out for. But with respect to this list here, this is more, I want to focus on just the key business fundamental drivers, catalysts that we want to focusing on for this week. So for first one, Shanghai Auto Show. As you know, the Shanghai Auto Show is going to it's going to begin sometimes tomorrow, starting on April 19th, all the way to April 28th. And with respect to tomorrow on 19th and 20th, those 2 days specifically are allocated for press and for media publications to, get the inside scoop ahead of time before the public opens on Wednesday, the 21st, all the way to 28th, right? So specifically, the auto show is actually going to open on the 21st to the 28th, not tomorrow on 19th and 20th. 19th and 20th, again, right, but specifically for the press release. So we will be expecting a lot of news coverage, a lot of new updates with respect to the business developments front tomorrow and Tuesday. So some of the key things that we need to look out for NIO specifically is that they plan on debuting their new power plants with respect to the Blue Sky Lab that they're thinking about doing, and basically unveiling the series of initiatives and service solutions for the power service that they are thinking about launching and expanding going forward. And also on top of that, they plan on reviewing for the first time, as you saw from the NIO Day a couple of months ago, they debuted that ET7, but they didn't really give us like a view on the interiors. So tomorrow we will get, tomorrow or Tuesday, we'll get to see more in depth with respect to the interior and how that's going to be in comparisons to, like the Plaid model that Tesla has debuted in their last Tesla Day or the battery day that occurred a couple of months ago. With respect to the second point here, Tesla Q1 earnings is expected to happen on April 26th, which is basically a week from tomorrow on 19th, exactly 7 days from tomorrow. And I believe, based on the media outlooks, the media affectations, and the Wall Street consensus so far, and as you know, based on my quantitative analysis that we see so far, there's a huge wedge forming. I think there's going to be a major push for the week ahead, before the Tesla earnings call on Monday. And with respect to, Tesla and how it correlates with NIO as a stock as well, knowing that they're kind of like a sibling stock in the EV sector, that contingent on the right economical outlooks, on the media affectation front, with the Federal Reserve, on understanding more about the yields, the monetary policies, with respect to the chip shortage. And despite all of that, right, we are aware that Tesla has already beat their production's expectations compared to Wall Street for Q1. So in a financial perspective, it's going to correlate from there, which will subsequently propel a beating of the earnings as well. So that's expected, and I foresee is going to be rallying ahead of earnings this week. And with this poll, it's going to have a drag momentum play on the NIO stock as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla go up by like 10% this week and subsequently drag NIO stock by like 5-7% this week or even more. That's highly possible, knowing the fact that they are pretty much like brothers and sisters in the EV sector. So with respect to the third point that you see here for European expansions, according to some of the news that I've been reading so far, it seems like NIO has or is planning on making the official announcement with respect to the European expansions plan sometimes in May 7th or May 8th ahead of their earnings call in a couple of weeks, right? And with respect to this, they have given us a preliminary update that NIO is confirmed their European operations. And if you looked on LinkedIn, if you look on their website on the career page, you can see that they've been hiring quite substantially, employing people from the Norwegian capital of Oslo, which we also understand that based on some of the media outputs recently that they plan on opening the first showroom that's expected to open sometimes in September. And I think this is a great first step, a great milestone for NIO to set foot in the European nation. I want to talk about the strategic angle why NIO decided to go with Norway or Oslo as their first step in the stone to hit the European ground. Is that Norway is the world leader in terms of EV adoptions, in terms of EV vehicle sales penetration, right? And the propelling factor has been driven majorly by the government incentives that's enforced in the country, and their policies around the incentives is really revolved around shifting their vehicles from more of the internal combustions type of vehicles like the gas-driven vehicles, the petrochemical vehicles, to more economical friendly vehicles or more environmentally friendly vehicles across the Scandinavian countries, right? So that serves as one of the key catalysts, and knowing the fact that the government subsidies and the incentives that it provides to the customers and also for the automakers, it serves as a great tailwind for NIO to obviously position themselves for the first time. And as more European nations, further expand and slowly adopt more, NIO, is currently proving its point and proving its business value proposition in China and across the world. And this is just the beginning of the European expansions that I foresee that to be a great catalyst going forward for the business development front. So definitely a great update, great business developments front, and definitely have strong alignments with respect to trajectories for the growth that is poised to have going forward. Moving on to the fourth point that you see here on more strategic partnerships updates. So as you're aware, on the recent news, NIO has announced a strategic partnership agreement between the company and the Chinese oil giant, Sinopec Shanghai Petrochemical Company, that's also being traded under the New York Stock Exchange, called SHI. The rumor on the potential partnership has basically begun for the last couple months, ever since the Chinese New Year in mid-February. And that the chairman reached out, the chairman named Zhang Zhaohum has reached out to William Li on a partnership, to collaborate on conquering the smart EV industry by helping with the permissible carbon emission norms and some of the carbon neutrality initiatives that they're both focusing on. And I think the word quote strategic partnership is actually a euphemism for a lot of these oil and petrochemical companies in China, aka waving the white flag to these EV companies like NIO, which is the core representative of that EV initiative, right? As a company as a whole, representing China, right? And I think Zhang from Sinopec is a strategic motive for this company, knowing the fact that it's on a decline in both the business fundamental perspective, political perspective, and also economical outlook perspective, to reach out to NEO for some sort of agreement, right? And knowing the fact that petrochemical and oil gas industries is on a decline because the adoptions in China is pretty much confirmed going forward, right? I believe in the next decade or two, China has basically promised its citizens that by 2030, all of the vehicles are going to be converted into EV vehicles, right? Which is a substantial shift. Basically, completely getting rid of all the gas stations, all the petrochemical cars going forward, right? And I think Zhang is basically looking for an option. I don't think they necessarily want to go bankrupt and just like give up their business or sell their business when there isn't really anybody want to buy their business. So why don't they just give in, right? And by giving in is to work with the winners that is in the play right now, right? Neo and William Li, right? And I think this is a synergistic thing that can be beneficial to Neo and to William as they're expanding more these charging swapping stations across China, right? Knowing that Sinopec or multiple of these gas stations already have pretty sizable footprints across China, right? So it'll be just like a more of a swapping of from the old petrochemical stations or these gas stations to more of the EV charging or swapping stations in both a real estate footprints perspective, in terms of lease agreements perspective, in terms of like expansions, alleviations perspective as well, right? So it's a strategic move. And I foresee these like partnerships or these strategic partnerships again, right? Again, it's just another euphemism for mitigations of cannibalizations for the gas industry in China. And I think I will foresee more updates around these partnerships as more of these gas stations or these gas industry titans or former titans give up the throne and passing it on to William Li, which is another major tailwind for the business as a whole that further propels the growth for the business going forward. And last one on the fifth point right here on, these are more of the exogenous factors that we need to look out for. That doesn't just affect NEO as a whole, but also with respect to the overall economy as a whole, right? Sector rotations between fund managers. Is still a debate going on is it ideal time to reallocate your budget or not your budget? Is it ideal time to reallocate your assets into more recovery stocks as a hedge going forward before it gets too late? And is it ideal to take some profit from the small cap stocks or the growth stocks, knowing the fact that we ran up so much last year already, to more of the larger tech stocks like Google, like Amazon, one of those, right? With respect to the 10-year treasury yield, right? This is more fluctuating every single day depending on the bond markets fluctuations that we're happening. And obviously higher treasury yield rates will have a negative correlations to the stocks as a whole, and knowing that small cap typically has the highest affectation as a whole in terms of the yield spikes, that could be another thing that we need to look out for that can hinder some of the positive catalysts that we have on top, right? So it could be a wash next week. We could be trading flat again, depending on how we are how these are shaking out, right? Lastly, on the and these last 2 points here, monetary policies. Obviously, there's Chinese and the U.S. trade talk with respect to the exports and import tax rates. Any fluctuations that can have a negative correlations to the to the overall outlooks as a whole can hinder obviously the profit margin, which subsequently discourage investors in terms of the profitability for the business going forward, and that could subsequently hinder growth as well. So that's something that we need to look out for, right? And last point would be with respect to the chip shortage, we look out for more updates, but I foresee we've been having such negative news for such quite some time now, for like the last couple months with respect to this shortage. I foresee some sort of a new media affectation that's gonna push up the stock higher ahead of the earnings, knowing the fact that Tesla earnings is coming up, NIO's earnings is coming up. We might hear something from the media soon. And I think the outcome is going to be quite binary. And the reason I say this is because there might be some media manipulations around this. People might be overly inflating the shortage. As to fund managers might be manipulating the media output with respect to these type of news to try to push the stock lower so they could buy more ahead of the boom that we're going to be expected to see. So more to come on these five factors, but definitely something to look out for. All right, so moving on to the technical analysis for NEO, ticker NIO. You can see that ever since last week, starting from April 12th all the way to April 16th on Friday. Ever since on Monday, we sold off completely because I think a lot of fund managers just decided to sector rotate the fund allocation, which caused some scares and then subsequently more sell off. And I think this is more driven by the fund managers and this is more driven by the retail investors and subsequently traded sideways because of a lot of fearfulness, which drove this low volume that you see here, very low volume overall, right? And then sometimes in late part of the Monday, fund managers and decide to buy in because of the positive outlook that we saw from the CPI report, which subsequently pushed up this momentum push right here on Tuesday. And this is a combination of both retail investors and also fund managers, investors as well, which pushed the stock up. And some people took profit and subsequently pushed up again because of people missing out, I guess, or fear of missing out. And ever since that, we sold off to basically come back to the resistance level here at the 37.72. And ever since then, we pushed up more majorly into the 39.33 at one point. I think this is a technical error. I don't think that actually happened. Or maybe that was a one-time big whale that bought in and subsequently sold on the same day for like a quick turnaround buck or something like that, which subsequently drove this huge large candle right here. I think a big whale definitely unloaded and then subsequently caused a lot of scares. And I think this is also driven by the Jerome Powell speech that he had with the Economical Forum with David Rubenstein, which we all basically all heard about it's more like a fireside chat between David and also with Jerome, talk about Jerome's daily habits, like him biking to work, and some of the hobbies that he likes to do on the side, which subsequently. Because of the some of the media affectation that causes ahead of the meetings, it drove more of a sell-off ahead of time, and then subsequently, by the time the meetings finish, it kind of bounced back up slightly. And ever since then, we sold off more because of a lot of the negative media affectations that we've been experiencing with respect to like chip shortage, 10-year yield spikes, with respect to the fear of the monetary policies between China and US that subsequently drove more sell-off. Just a lot of negative news overall last week, right? Combinations with both the microeconomical drivers and also the majority driven by the macroeconomical drivers factors. Okay, so sold down, and then at one point we hit all the way down to the 34.06 because of this just negative momentum that we've been seeing, right? And ever since then, we bounced back up from the bottom. As you can see, that RSI at that point was highly oversold. And then it subsequently had a reversal that happened, and then slowly ever since we consolidated and closed on a 36.09 level. So where I see the stock going from here, right? So you can see that on an annual snapshot, looking on a daily perspective right now, NEO stock ran up all the way to a $67 level, consolidated sideways somewhere around like Q3, Q4. And then in Q1, we sold off basically complete in the last 3 months, ever since from the $60 level all the way to the $32 level, which is like a 60-70% sell off, right? And ever since that, we tested that bottom at the 31.91 level, and then we bounced off and we retest this again. And right now we are retesting again. So, and basically this is forming a pretty strong resistance level at the $33 level. So what I see the stock going from here is going to be a W-shaped type of recovery going forward because of all the positive catalysts that I've identified so far for this week. Again, right, like the Chinese Shanghai Auto Show that's going to be debuting their new business initiatives and the new ET7. And also with respect to the, just the Tesla stock earnings Q1 that's expected in 7 days from tomorrow, I foresee it's going to have some positive catalysts as well, right? but contingent on no more significant negative media affectations with respect that the news that we hear from the Federal Reserve with respect to the 10-year Treasury yield rates, and as we hear more about the developments around the chip shortage front, and contingent on no more like crazy black swan events that happens, right? We should be seeing some of a recovery, knowing the fact that we've been selling off quite significant already. Okay, just looking at the RSI, you can see that we're pretty much oversold at the moment. Pretty close to the oversold at the moment, and the line is basically merging together as well on the MACD side as well. So I foresee for like the upcoming week, the way that I want to imagine how it's going to look like, and I might be wrong, but this is how I'm foreseeing it. Okay, so at first on Monday we're going to basically bounce off of this line about like the 33. We might have some sell off on Monday early in the morning, then immediately the bulls come back in and this bounce back up. And then for tomorrow, for Tuesday, because of the Shanghai auto show, we should have some positive momentum ahead of it, or during it, as we learn more. That is going to push up the stock to back to the 38 $39 level. And the 38 $39 level, that's a pretty strong resistance level, right? We basically tested that twice already in correlations to the bottoms. So I foresee us to be breaching that, possibly contingent on some major positive news that we see in the Shanghai Auto Show and some of the latest business development front. And sometimes by Wednesday and Thursday, I think because of the correlations that Tesla has with NIO stock, we subsequently will push upward to above the 39 to the $40 level, and the next level of resistance will be somewhere around the $46 level, or like the $47 level as well, by sometimes on Monday or late Friday, even possible. So I definitely see like a green week next week. But obviously there are some other macroeconomical factors that we need to bake into these assumptions. So but overall, I still believe that we are going to close on a positive note by the end of the week. Just taking a look at tip ranks real quick. Look at NEO stock based on the 9 ratings of analysts here. You can see that 6 buy, 3 holds, with the 62.04 price target as an average price point, which is going to give you like a 71-90% of an upside for this year. And the high point is going to be 81. Low point is going to be 38.80, which is still lower than what is currently being traded at right now. So Wall Street is definitely bullish on this as an overall outlooks for this business going forward. All right, so as a recap of the videos of all the numbers that we talked about today, again, right? So with respect to the NEO's entry price point, I think right now at the $36 level or like $35 level is definitely a fair price for us to get in right now. I think long-term wise, it's going to be at least a 70% upside by the end of the year. So right now, buy as many shares as you can. I think it's a great, strong fundamental business with a lot of great tailwinds for the business going forward. And if we ever hit down to the 34.50 level, which is the next resistance level that we have identified in the technical analysis, that's another great price point for us to get in. And if we ever get down to the black swan events number, like that $31 level, I think that's another level that we need to scoop up, knowing the fact that we did form a pretty a firm 3 resistance bound so far in the last couple of weeks and months so far. So definitely a good price point for us to get in. My price target is actually a little bit more optimistic compared to Wall Street. I know that the high point is going to be 81, but I'm going to put a price target of 85. I foresee after the auto show and after the earnings call that we will see in May or late May, I think the price target is going to be revised as we learn more about the economical outlook with respect to the chip shortage and some of the new business development fronts that is already doing across the world for NEO, right? So it's going to be a huge upside for here. So I took that up from the 85 high point to an 85, which I think is realistic. I even see it hitting maybe possibly 95 or 100 by the end of this year. That's possible, very possible, knowing that we have been kind of pushed down, heads down for this business for such a long time already. So again, for the upside, it's going to be, if you buy now, be 136% of an upside, or close to a 2.5 times your money, which is a great return for just a 1 year hold, right? So right, so that's it for Neo today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the weekly recap that we just did today, and also with respect to some of the catalyst insights I've identified for us to look out for the rest of the week. Please again hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and feel free to notify me or reach out to me if you have any questions or any specific stock that you'd like me to look at as well. I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy communicating with you guys. Seeing the channel grow slowly and slowly, day by day, is really just really motivates me and want to make me provide more value to you guys. So thank you so much again, and stay tuned for the next video.